SiriusXM channel 127, Tuesday, January 5th. My friends, we are just 14 days, I guess 14 days and a few hours from Donald Trump going bye-bye. Next stop, prison. That's where he's going. He was like at his rally last night saying he wants a military base named after him. He wants to change the name of Fort Benning to Fort Trump. Only thing he's getting named after him in the future is a prison cell at Leavenworth. That's it. But today, Donald Trump is continuing with his attempted coup, along with the co-conspirators of the seditious caucus of the Senate and the House. They are literally rejecting democracy in front of our eyes under the charade of fraud, which doesn't exist. It's something that I don't think anyone expected to see in our country, but we are. It's playing out in real time. Historians will look back at this as a truly, I'm not sure if it'll be a turning point or not. That depends on the future, but certainly grave alarm about where the GOP is going. And they must be punished fully. They must no longer be seen as a political party. The GOP must be called a fascist movement going forward. That's what they are. And those Republicans who are not down with fascism, they are invited to leave the party and start their own party, which is about lower taxes and smaller government, all the things that GOP used to be about. Now, increasingly over the years, they're at the point where they are truly a fascist movement, not unlike those you've seen in Europe during the 1930s. I mean, it's a fascist movement, no doubt about it. Donald Trump today, in his desperate effort to stop tomorrow's acceptance of electoral votes, and put things in perspective, the Electoral College voted. This is really more, not truly perfunctory. There's a way they can legally object, but in general, where we are in the process now is tomorrow. It's very simple and straightforward. Usually, not tomorrow. Donald Trump tweeted today, the vice president has the power to reject fraudulently chose electors. So Trump is saying Mike Pence has the power to throw out the election results. Think about that for a second. Do you think the framers of the Constitution, who had just fought a revolution against the king who oppressed them, then would create a system where one person, the vice president, in a sense, becomes the king and can throw out any votes they want and then designate who that person wants as the new president? Of course not. It's ridiculous. Although this might make you feel a little better. If somehow Mike Pence held up the entire process tomorrow and no one was chosen, well, January 20th, the beauty of our Constitution is the 20th Amendment says on January 20th at noon, Trump and Mike Pence's powers expire. What happens then? Say Mike Pence really holds it up and they have to litigate and no one is declared a winner by our Congress in accordance with the Electoral Count Act. What happens then on January 20th at 12:01? Guess who becomes president? Nancy Pelosi. That's not a fever dream. That's reality. It's called the Secession Act. It's part of our laws. If there is no president who is chosen validly under the 12th Amendment, come noon on January 20th, Nancy Pelosi becomes president of the United States until a person qualifies as president, which it might be the next election. I mean, I'm not kidding. This is really how it plays out. None of this is going to happen. Mike Pence has no powers to overturn any electors. If he tried to do anything, it would be instant litigation, and I think it would be resolved pretty quickly. I don't expect Mike Pence to do it, but then again, you never know with him. Then you get to what's really going to go down tomorrow. And at the outset, let me tell you, there is no good faith basis to object to any electoral slates. There's zero. There's no good faith. It is a charade. It's a smokescreen for a fascist coup. That's what it is. It's remarkable. We're watching a coup play out, and we're not seeing it with the intensity called out the way it should be. Throughout history, people involved in coups that fail suffer a consequence. They suffer a penalty. The range of penalties are broad. There must be a penalty for this failed coup, in this case politically, and potentially criminally in the case of Donald Trump. But what's going to happen tomorrow, just quickly, in a quick synopsis, is that it's a combination of the 12th Amendment at work and the Electoral Count Act of 1887. Tomorrow, Pence, as president of the Senate in his role as vice president, literally just says he opens up the envelopes. I mean, that's really what it comes down to of the votes. He doesn't choose to accept them or not. He can't object. But Congress, on the Electoral Count Act, they can object. So it's not like nobody can object. Pence can't. The members of Congress can. If you get one senator and one House member in writing objecting, then it stops the entire process. Because alphabetically, they accept the votes from each state. We understand Ted Cruz will object to Arizona. It's early in the states. What happens then? It just stops everything. Then there's allocated 2 hours of debate in the Senate and the House. And then they come back and they vote. Actually, they vote in their respective chambers, but altogether come back about 3 hours later. To throw out any state's slate of electors, both the House and the Senate have to agree. If they don't agree, the electoral slate that has already been sent and certified, that's what stands. That's going to happen in this scenario. I mean, today we've learned there's about 13 Republican senators who are opposing this. Over about 20 Republicans are already saying they're not. So they won't even have a majority in the Senate they control. In the House, it's not even close. So no slates will be rejected. That's not going to happen. But you're going to hear arguments. You're going to hear Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and every other co-conspirators in a coup spew lies, spew garbage. You know, you have Ted Cruz talk about he wants to have an audit commission. Look at the reality. We've had nearly 60 lawsuits filed in federal and state courts by Trump and his allies. Every single case where they sought to throw ballots out, they lost, including in front of 9 judges that Donald Trump personally picked. So 9 of the judges he picked have ruled against him. And some of them in the most stunning, damning language about how ridiculous these arguments are, trying to overturn the will of the people without evidence. You had recounts. Look at Georgia, the best example. 3 recounts, not 1, not 2, 3, including a hand recount. Plus, over the holiday break, they did a signature authorization verification process in Cobb County. Came back, no evidence of fraud. You've had lawsuits throughout these battleground states. Arizona, the same thing. They allowed the Republicans there to go through 3,000 signatures, no evidence of fraud. The expert for the Republicans, Kelly Ward, the GOP state chair over there, her own expert said there was no evidence of fraud. But they'll lie to us. They just keep lying over and over. Wisconsin, recount Trump paid for, lost. And again, Arizona and Georgia, 2 of the battleground states, are controlled by Republicans. All the laws you're going to hear about have been passed and signed into law by Republicans. Pennsylvania, the legislature there, Republican controlled. They're the ones that passed a law with absentee ballots. None of this matters. I've never seen this. It's one thing to have conspiratorial wings of the party on the fringes. It's quite another to have it embraced by the leader of the party and many leading people in this party. That's why it's not a political party any longer. It is a fascist movement. It must be seen as that. Tomorrow ends Donald Trump's coup. There's no legal means for him to overturn this election. It's really no plausible legal means right now as we sit here. Once this vote is over tomorrow or early in the morning on Thursday, there'll be absolutely no legal means to overturn the election. That means the only thing Trump has left are illegal means. We saw one example with Georgia. Didn't work out. Tried to pressure and extort the Secretary of State. We heard today from Pennsylvania Lieutenant Governor that there were phone calls made there that were similar. Trump will continue with illegal means. I just hope he doesn't try to incite violence directly. Trump is going to have his rally tomorrow. This might seem naive to some people, but I truly believe this. Of the entire Trump base, the subset that will commit violence and risk their own life and liberty for Trump is teeny. I don't mean like 2%. I mean less than 1%. Teeny. Now, of course, you only need a handful to commit a horrific act and murder innocent people. Let's hope we don't get to that. But even if there are pockets of violence, remember the 20th Amendment, very clear. On January 20th at noon, no matter what, Donald Trump's power ceased to exist. He's no longer president of the United States. The question is who's president after him? It will be Joe Biden. But for any reason that we can't think of that prevents that, I can't think of why, but just as a lawyer, I'll give you every plausible thing. Maybe there's some way Nancy Pelosi becomes president. But it's not Donald Trump no matter what. There's no scenario of that happening. And Trump supporters who think there is, it's sort of like people who watch the movie Titanic and halfway through are wishing the ship doesn't sink. Guess what? It's sinking. And that ship is sinking January 20th. So it's over. Tomorrow night, it's over. Next stop, I hope a special prosecutor investigate Donald Trump fully. And if the evidence is there, criminal prosecution. Next stop for Trump, a prison cell with his name on it. So again, my show is live 6 to 9 p.m. We got a great lineup on SiriusXM channel 127. Go to the website. There's free trials. Check it out. Join the conversation. Be a part of our family. Call in. SiriusXM channel 127 Progress channel. Thanks for tuning into a little preview of tonight's Dino Budala Show.